There's a saying that you keep hearing, like if it's meant to be, it will be. And for me, I think this is it, like I wanted to do something completely different, not completely, but like a little bit different. But then I ended up doing something, as kids, we all dislike school, it's like, I don't like
Yeah.
my teachers. I never want to be a teacher when I grow up. And I never expected myself to be one, at some point. So, but I really love it, honestly, and I'm very passionate about it, and I'm glad that it happened that way.
Welcome to SELINTalks, brought to you by Selin Club. I'm Shruti Verma, director of Selin Club and your host. And today we're diving into the enriching world of special education with a truly inspiring educator, Samar Lama. With over a decade in the field, Samar is not just a teacher, she's a pioneer advocating for acceptance and inclusion in education system. She combines her passion for education with deep expertise in autism spectrum disorders and behavioral management to empower both her students and fellow educators. Get ready to explore the transformative power of understanding and compassion in today's episode. Stay tuned as we uncover the impactful stories and strategies Samar has to share. Thank you so much, Samar, for being here as our guest today. How are you feeling?
I'm good. Thank you for the invitation. Honestly, I'm grateful.
I'm glad. All right, to start off, Samar, as somebody who's deeply involved in special education, by the way, this entire thing is very close to my heart. Somebody involved in special
Yeah.
education needs. If you could instantly solve one challenge in the world of SEN education, what it would be and why?
Honestly, to start, I'm going to say that there are lots of challenges that we really need to work on. But for me personally, if I could instantly solve one challenge, it would be increasing awareness, because awareness is fundamental. And although it has improved significantly over the past decade, there's still a considerable gap in understanding and knowledge about special educational needs. So this lack of information often leads to stigma and misconceptions, which can affect the identification and support of the students with special needs. I would have to say that by fostering awareness, identification and intervention, which are really important for any child with any diagnosis, and it can ensure that they receive the tailored support and the resources that they need to succeed. And eventually, a well-informed community can definitely advocate more effectively for inclusive policies and practices, and it can create a more supportive educational environment for the students.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for answering this. You're right. Awareness is very, very important. Even
Yeah,
when we're sitting at 2024, even now, people do not. Obviously, there has been a
yeah,
change, but there needs to be more.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah. And people like such as yourself are doing great job for it. So thank you for that, behalf of everybody who's,
Thank you.
into this or even not into this. So thank you for
Thank
that. All right. So was there a moment or a personal story that drew you into focusing on special education, particularly with learners who have autism?
Yeah, honestly, this is a really nice story, because all I can say is that the special education needs chose me. So I was studying psychology, and in my second year of studies, I thought a job to gain experience, because I kept hearing from everyone around me that it was very difficult to find a job if you don't have experience, all of this. So I just started applying to schools. And just wanted something related to psychology somehow. So my first job was a one-to-one support assistant, actually, for an autistic child. And at that time, to be honest, I had no prior knowledge about autism, nothing. And as I began to educate myself and spent more time working with the child, I did some trainings, and I became deeply, deeply fascinated by the world of autism, honestly. And I think it's a very unique and special aspect of human diversity. And this experience and getting to know more children, working with more children at the time, I just fell in love with it and I never stopped. So I changed from psychology to special education. But when I first started, I never knew that this was going to be what I was going to do, like eventually. So
life takes you on a different
it
path.
wasn't one child. Yeah.
How
So that was
sweet.
nice. There's a saying that you keep hearing, like if it's meant to be, it will be. And for me, I think this is it, like I wanted to do something completely different, not completely, but like a little bit different. But then I ended up doing something, as kids, we all dislike school, it's like, I don't like my teachers. I never want to be a teacher when I grow up. And I never expected myself to be one, at some point. So, but I really love it, honestly, and I'm very passionate about it, and I'm glad that it happened that way.
That's brilliant. Like I said, life has a way of, working itself out, and you get to do what you really are meant to be. I believe in it very strongly.
Yeah, definitely.
You advocate strongly for inclusion. Could you describe a teaching strategy or a classroom setup that embodies true inclusion for students with SEN?
Yeah, so something that I don't know if a lot of people have heard about by now, but there's a very nice teaching strategy that embodies true inclusion for students with SEN in mainstream schools, and that's the UDL. It's the Universal Design for Learning approach. And this framework specifically, it emphasizes on providing multiple means of representation and engagement and expression to accommodate diverse learning needs. So in this practice, it could involve a classroom setup, let's say, with flexible seating options. So you would seat the children who have attention deficit a little bit closer to the board or to the teacher. It would have more visual aids, technology support. So if we have a nonverbal child, they could have an iPad with a specific app on it that can help them speak or participate in the classroom, along with differentiated instructions that can tailor to each student's challenges and needs. I feel like by creating an environment where all the students in the classroom can access and participate in learning, UDL really promotes equity and inclusion in the classroom.
That's brilliant. You mentioned that, like you said, it was meant to be, and there was something that came to you. Was there a time, maybe in all of this, that you thought, I don't know why am I doing this?
Yes, honestly, because as you know, it is very challenging. Especially, I have chosen to work with the more challenging kids, who have aggressive behavior, tantrums, meltdowns. So at some point, when a kid drags you by your hair down the floor, you'll be like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I really have to deal with this? But then when I see all the help that I can provide to the child, to the parents, the little milestones that happen eventually, it really makes it all worthwhile. So as everything, I'm not going to say it's perfect. You have your ups and downs, you have very good days, you have very bad days for you and for the child. But eventually, once you see one little progress that you've done, it just melts your heart, and especially with children who have challenges expressing and who have challenges in their behavior. So one tiny thing they can do will feel like, like you have the whole world. So it is bittersweet. Yeah.
They are sweet. um, what's a widely held belief about autism that you encounter often, and how do you address this miscommunication through your work?
So this is, honestly, thank you for this question, because it has been something ever since I started working with autistic kids that I kept hearing it. And it's not only back home in Lebanon or here in the UAE or anywhere else I've been to. Whenever I say I work with special needs kids like autism, ADHD, everyone asks the same question: why do they like to be alone? So it is a very widely held misconception about autism that they prefer to be alone, they do not enjoy social interactions or making friends. And thank you for asking the question, because I would like to use your platform to clarify that this couldn't be further from the truth. For some individuals, they may struggle with social interactions, but many others, they seek and enjoy connections with people. They love making friends. They may express this desire in ways that are different or that seem unusual to us or to people who are unfamiliar with autism. But just as people have varying responses to stimuli, individuals with autism, they have unique ways of processing and experiencing themselves due to their uniquely different and special brains, you know? So this diversity does not make them any less capable or valuable. They just need a little bit of help doing it. So a very easy example I can give that it's very similar to how some people might enjoy loud environments and concerts and music, you know, and being in crowded spaces, while others can find it very overwhelming. So for me, it's kind of unfair to just make blanket assumptions based on one trait. Yes, it is a symptom of autism, but it's just one of the many symptoms in a very broad spectrum, if you know what I mean. So through my work, I try to advocate as much as possible to understand and appreciate the differences, to understand the symptoms as well, because many people can have different symptoms. It doesn't mean that you should have a diagnosis with it, you know, and even if you have a diagnosis, it shouldn't label you. So it shouldn't be something that's a title given to you throughout your life. And I really try to emphasize, again, on the need for awareness and acceptance to reduce the stigma and support inclusive and empathetic interactions, you know, because you can try, you can always try. So if they're sitting alone, no need to leave them alone. You can come up to them, you can try to say, even if you just sit next to them, some of them just enjoy the presence of someone, and slowly they will start to interact. Everything takes time in life. It's not going to happen, you know, like with the snap of a finger, but you have to try. As for anything else, you know, if they don't like it, if it's very challenging for the children, then yes, we look for something different. We look for a different mean of communication. We try to give them some time, some space, but it doesn't mean, as I said, no autistic child I have worked with has ever been the same. Never. I have never worked with a child and then with another and said, oh, this one reminds me of this one. You know, they are so different in so many special ways. And this is why I'm very fascinated by autism, because it has never represented itself the same in any individual.
I think it also kind of portrays the fact that we should stop putting people in the boxes and kind of labeling, like you said, like they're different. Everybody is different. It's the notion of the world that every human being is going to be different, how their brain works and things like that. So moving towards more towards your entrepreneurship, merging entrepreneurship with education, particularly in SEN sector, presents unique challenges and opportunities. I'm sure about that. How has been being an entrepreneur influence your approach to education and advocacy?
I would say that it has taught me the importance of innovation, flexibility, resourcefulness in addressing the unique needs of the students. Entrepreneurship encourages creative problem solving, you know, and you have to have a proactive attitude. So that would allow me to develop more tailored solutions and advocate more for more inclusive and effective educational practices. I would have to say also that engaging with other educators, entrepreneurs such as yourself, therapists through social media has really enriched my own personal education journey, you know, because in our domain, you have to keep educating yourself. It doesn't just end when you graduate or when you're done with your university studies, because the world of SEN is ever evolving and you have to stay connected with a diverse perspective. And I take that from everyone online that I can meet or I can follow or have the chance to, you know, like sit down and talk with, because it helps me keep up with the latest developments and the best practices in the field, you know, because everyone has different perspective, different point of views, different ideas that we can use in the classroom. And I tend to try a lot of them, you know, some of them might work with my kids, some of them won't, because it's different from one child to another. But at least I've tried, you know, and it really helps. It really helps. And I am so grateful for social media doing its part in this thing. As you said, sometimes it can have a negative effect, such as people speaking without understanding. but also lots of people such as yourself and other educators are really trying hard to raise awareness and, like put the spotlights on the important things. So it's really important.
Great. Yeah, that is the creative problem solving part was actually it's something that people need to focus on. Sometimes in the entrepreneurial journey, we kind of forget why we're doing what we're doing. But yeah, I really love that point.
And you need the help, like
True.
some people won't take it from someone else and they want to be like know-it-alls, but you can't know everything, and it really helps connecting with people, sharing perspectives, even sharing your ideas. It's not like stealing ideas. For me, I don't mind if I've done something and it's worked and you want to try it with your child, please be my guest, because the end goal here is helping the children. It's not about yourself, so your success comes with the success of the child, because if your child isn't successful, then you haven't done anything eventually. This is what really matters.
Yeah, I think obviously there are phases in life when you go through your world and outside world and the impact that you make for the entire world. I think when you're in that space, you speak how you spoke right now, that you can take the idea and do whatever. If it's helping somebody, it's great. Right now when I see conversations like this, actually we started podcasts to know what is going on, how are other people kind of doing it and things like that. And I feel I continued. We thought we'll just like do one season and we'll be done with it, but I continued for this very reason. I love having these talks. One second, I get to know what is actually going on a personal level, because we know, there is special education sector, then there is all of these things, and there is early childhood education. All of these things are there, but what exactly a person is
it's
doing.
very diverse now as well, so you will need to keep up. You need to talk to people, you need to listen as well, and take in some stuff. You might be doing something, I don't want to say wrongly, but that's not benefiting, and you need a solution. You will sit and you will think and you will think and you will think, but eventually you have to seek outside help, whether it be from the internet, Google, from other people, but you can't just possibly do everything on your own. So these podcasts, anything that we can see online, like reels, the small informational videos that people put, everything is helpful. You can take just one small tip and you work on it, you change it, you modify it to what suits you and your children, but that's help, that's help that you've gotten. So I love meeting new people and just share that, because as I said, the ultimate goal is to help the children, and then you've done your job properly. So yeah.
I'm glad you come from that thought process. It's amazing to know
this. Yeah.
Could you share an experience where a challenging behavior led to a breakthrough moment, not only for your students involved, but for you as an educator?
Yeah, this is funny because it just happened a couple of weeks ago. So over the past 2 years, I've been working with a young teen diagnosed with global developmental delay. And he was facing significant challenges with social interactions and communication, particularly in expressing his feelings and emotions. And saying that, I want to say, see, like, this is a symptom of autism, but he is not autistic. He has global developmental delay. So one of his symptoms is challenges with social interactions and communications, particularly in expressing his feelings and emotion, which is also a symptom of autism, but he hasn't been diagnosed with autism. So just to like say more about that, if someone has one symptom, it doesn't have to be the entire, like diagnosis. So initially he would often go days at school without speaking to me. And I mean, literally speaking to me. I'd ask a question, he won't answer, he won't even look at me, he'll look away, and you would think like, oh, okay, he's being stubborn, he's being impolite. That's just how the symptom, is arising. But we've put a lot of effort. It was very challenging to engage him in activities in the classroom that he didn't want to do. So we've used lots of motivation. We've done like his special little contract, and we started making very small but meaningful progress. At the end of the school year, after I informed my student that I was going to be leaving my current job to go somewhere else, because you have to prepare them, especially when you've worked with them for years. It's hard for them to just understand why you just disappeared. So I was telling them everything, and he came on the last day of school, and he had a big flower bouquet with him. Now, for me, I knew it was from the parents, but the fact that he had brought it meant that he wanted to, because you could never get him to do something if he didn't want to. So I was very happy when I saw it. And then later on during the day, when I was putting it away, I saw that there was a little card inside the flowers. So I opened the card, and there was like a little handwritten note from him inside the card. And it says something like, thank you for everything you have done for me, Miss Samar, and I am going to miss you. And then it says love and his name. So for me, it was honestly like I cried, to be honest. But it's just because, like the gesture and how difficult it was for him. I knew how difficult it was for him to express his feelings. And it's nice. As small as it may seem, I knew it took him a lot of courage, a lot of hard work to convey his gratitude and love, even if it was in a small written note. And it's moments like these, when you ask me, do you ever say why I'm doing this? So it's moments like these where this is why I do what I do, witnessing these small breakthroughs and knowing that I've made a difference in a student's life is very rewarding, and I know that he will never forget me. I will never forget him. It's going to be like, we're going to have this special bond of not talking to each other, but we know we love each other. You know what I mean? So it's
I do.
it's these little things that makes everything worthwhile. And
that is so sweet.
This is why I want to continue doing what I'm doing. It's just, it's nice, it's, you're making a very big difference in someone's life, their family's life, their parents, everyone. And it's nice to be part of it. I'm forever grateful that I got to be part of so many children's life and so many to come, as long as I continue to do it. And for me, this is success. It doesn't have to be an award. It doesn't have to be online. I don't have to be famous. It's just knowing that at some point this kid will remember me is everything to me. The very first kid I told you I started with as a one-to-one assistant, that was 13 years ago. And ever since then, every year, he is 21 now, I believe, or 22, and he's graduated college. And still, every single year, on the 19th of June, on my birthday, he'll send me a happy birthday message. And on the 31st, I will send him, of January, I will send him a happy birthday message. And this is the only communication we have for 13 years now. Just on my birthday and his birthday, he sent. But for me, it's everything. Like he hasn't forgotten me for 13 years. So it's stuff like that. And seeing their progress. Some of them get to go to college, some of them don't. They get to do something different. But as long as I see progress and I see my children evolving and thriving, it's everything to me, So
that is so sweet.
I love what I do.
I'm sure it shows when people love what they do, it shows in their work.
Definitely.
And from the story, this is such a nice story. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
From your perspective, what is the next big step or innovation needed in the field of special education to better support learners with autism?
The thing is, with special education, people always think that we should be a step behind, because the children maybe are a little bit, I want to say it in a good way, but they're slower, with their education. So it's like we're always a little bit left behind when it comes to special educational needs, especially in mainstream schools, or in the society. It's always like we are one step back. We are always behind someone. And for me, I would say that the next big step would be following up with whatever is going on in the world. And that would be the development and implementation of more personalized technology-driven interventions. Because technology is being used everywhere now in the world, whether it be mainstream schools, university, at work, working from home, all of this. So innovations such as adaptive learning platforms, AI-driven tools, all of these, they can offer tailored educational experiences for the children. It can address each student's unique needs, because with AI now, anything is possible almost. So all of this, they can help enhance the precision and flexibility of educational support for teachers, for assistants, for anyone, parents, community. I think that they can significantly improve engagement and outcomes for students with special needs. So I would say definitely to keep following up whatever is happening in the world. I know there are lots of applications for special needs kids and everything, but we could use more, something more innovative, something, more AI driven. And lots of kids are really interested in technology. And we use that in the classrooms with them because it really gets them going, and the more applications we have, the more people think of making more games for these children rather than just, like all the games that every child plays. It can help. It can help a lot, especially for teachers in the classrooms, with nonverbal children, with children like the boy I was just talking about who chooses not to communicate. It can help if he has a different mean of communication. So yeah, definitely.
Would you like to suggest some games or some stimulation activities in a very short manner for educators who are going to be watching this podcast?
The thing is, there are lots online, lots and lots and lots online. But what I would say is missing is that once you make them, most of them, they don't have the special accommodations that we look for our children. So, some kids are very sensitive to loud music in the applications. Some kids are very sensitive, to like these little stuff that move quickly on the screen. It can get them excited. So, just to be a little bit more mindful with the games that you choose, because anything can get the child excited or they can get them triggered to have a tantrum, and you might not understand where it's coming from. But over the years, I've realized that it might be something inside the game that's triggering him. It's either too fast or too slow, or so just get to know your child, get to know their needs, and then you can pick something that will work for them. So it's just the fact of giving them the iPad and be like, okay, here's a game, play it. You know what I mean? Even if it's made for special needs children, even if the game is autism friendly or anything, it has to be really specific to the child's needs. So it takes a lot of research. So every time I want to suggest an application, I'll download it on my phone. I'll try to play it, and I'll try to, put myself in my child's shoe and see if it's gonna help him. But you really have to know your child, like inside out. And yeah, basically.
All right. So people need to research, and people really need to the educator needs to actually play or kind of experience them in their own way while keeping the kids in mind, and then they can, okay, got it. This is great. Last but not
Thank you.
Reflecting on your own experiences, what's one piece of advice or what's a piece of wisdom you'd like to pass on to new educators entering into the field of special needs education?
I think we answered that in the question before when I said that success in this field, it requires a lot of heart, a lot of patience, a lot of kindness, and acceptance as well. So, as I said, the success of your students is your success story. Celebrate the tiny milestones. Anything that the child does, celebrate it. As small as it may be, as little as it may seem, to your student, they are really life-changing. If you are not fully committed and genuine in your approach, building rapport with your students will be very challenging. They are highly perceptive of your feelings, despite their own challenges, by the way, of identifying and expressing their feelings. They can really sense and feel if you love them, if you're really doing it deeply from your heart, not just because it's your job and you have to do it. and just approach each day with empathy, dedication. These qualities are really crucial for making a meaningful connection and for supporting your students effectively. And good luck. It will be the best time of your life. Honestly, like with all of the challenges, it will be. It will be. Eventually, you will look back and you will feel grateful. You've made a lot of changes in lots of students' lives, and they will be forever grateful for it. The kids will be, even if they don't know how to express it, they might express it in their own way. You just have to look for the tiny little things that they do. Parents will be forever grateful, and we're making the world a better place. So hopefully for everyone.
Thank you so much for your words. And I'm sure it comes from your experience and it comes from a lot of, what you have done and what life has took you on. But thank you so much for this. I didn't know that I needed
Thank
this
you.
because it sometimes you always, even no matter what age you are at, I think especially when it comes to neurodivergence or learning disability and all of the other words that people have got for all of this, it feels nice to know that there are people who are actually working towards it, making an impactful change, or I won't even say change, impactful efforts and things like that. It really makes me very happy. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you so much for this. Really, I'm very happy that I'm trying to get the message out there as much as possible, and like we're all living in one world. We're all going eventually. So just to make the best of it, everyone should be happy. Being kind to each other doesn't even take any effort. It takes effort to be angry, to be resentful. It takes a lot of effort, but being kind should be something that we get to do. Like every single day should be easy to do. So just trying to get it out there as much as possible.
No, I'm sure it'll reach as many people as it should and many more.
Thank
and
you.
I really wish your work reaches to people, even educators especially, and the kids and everybody. So thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and it was really insightful. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining us on this enlightening episode of SELINTalks. A special thanks to Samar Lamaa for sharing her invaluable insights and experiences. Today's conversation not only deepened our understanding of special education, but also reminded us of the critical role empathy and understanding play in our teaching practices. As we wrap up, we hope this episode has sparked new ideas and perspectives for you. Whether you're an educator, a parent, or simply someone passionate about creating more inclusive world, remember, each small step we take can lead to significant changes. So keep exploring, keep engaging, and most importantly, keep advocating for every learner's right to thrive. Until next time, stay curious and empowered. See you in the next episode of SELINTalks by SELINT Club.